Welcome to Crash Course in Commercial Real Estate. We converted our in-house training program to a podcast to teach you prospecting, negotiation, business planning, and other fundamental skills to become a successful commercial real estate agent. And now, here's your host, Brady Collier.
All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about our core values. And for many of you, this isn't as much centric to the commercial real estate training podcast that we've been doing. But for Shannon, who we're actual training, this is a live, real training. And so for her, this is one of the most critical things that we're going to talk about, because within our company, NAI Wheelhouse in Lubbock, Texas, these core values, they're everything to us. They're how we govern our businesses. We discuss them, we highlight them, we recognize coworkers who are living these core values out. And so it's very important to our company. And so Shannon, we wanted to take some time. And so I invited both of the other owners of NAI to join us today. So for those of you who are joining, it's a different setup than normal, because instead of our normal 3-person setup, we're throwing you for a loop with 4 people. So Grant and Kyle are mic'd up because I'm going to ask them questions and we're going to talk through our core values. And so with no further ado, let's launch into it. And so we have several core values. Kyle, you want to name them without looking at the piece of paper?
Yeah, you put me on the spot. No, I'll look at the. I know them, but
all right.
Now that I put me on the spot like that. But excellence,
okay,
teamwork, integrity, persistence, humility, and fun.
I was telling somebody their core values because they called and asked me about them the other day, and they said, "Didn't y'all create some acronym for these while y'all were creating them?" And I said, "No, we never thought about that until all the employees were put on the spot and had to remember them, every week." And they came up with one: P-Thief.
P-Thief, yeah.
P-Thief.
And I glanced down at my paper; they're not in that order, and I was like, "Oh no."
Can I do P-Thief on the camera?
Yeah.
All right. So you started with excellence, I believe, was the first one that you said. And so Shannon, here's what we want to do. We want to introduce one of the core values. And then after introducing it, I'm going to say, Grant, what does that mean to you? And then Grant's just going to free flow. He's going to say, this is what I think about excellence. I may ask him a question or two. And then I'm going to ask Kyle, within the brokerage business, show me, explain to me times where you see excellence embodied, or what does that mean on a daily basis? So I'm probably going to ask Grant, what does this core value mean? And then, what does that look like practically speaking? So that's how I see this episode going over the next several minutes here. So Grant, he identified excellence first. We had a lot of dialogue when we were coming up with these about what excellence really meant. So what does excellence mean to us?
To us, it really just means striving for greatness in whatever it is that you're doing. There's a lot of opportunities to just be mediocre, and there's a lot of people that just strive for mediocrity or just to get the job done. But really striving for excellence or greatness.
Okay. Is excellence, this is something that we dialogued about when we were defining excellence. Is excellence an absolute standard of greatness? Because you just said it's striving after, it's like doing your best, I think is something that you just said. And I like that, doing your best always. And we talked about back in the day, doing your best versus this absolute standard of excellence of the best work in the marketplace or whatever. So talk about the difference between those two things and why we went with more of the very best you can do that.
Yeah, I think it just means different things for different people. So excellence, for one person may look different than excellence mean for another person, because I think everyone has a different, unique ability, the things that God's gifted them with.
Sure. So Shannon, today your level of excellence, I don't want to sound relative, like a relativist, that it's there's not some absolute standard. But Kyle, how long have you been in the business?
About 6 years.
So Kyle's been in the business 6 years, and so the excellence with which he can serve his clients, it's really, really, really high. And as you go through this curve, we want to shorten your learning curve to where you can become excellent in every way. But as we just talked about in the last episode, there's a huge body of knowledge, and so the embodiment of excellence for you is every day you come in to do the very best that you can do. And you're going to be surprised at how few people in our industry do their very best for their clients every single day. But that's what we're asking of you. And that's this core value, is doing your very best on all that you do every day. And that's as much as we can ask of you. It's also the least we can ask of you because it's one of our core values. Kyle, as you've been in the space for the last 6 years, what are areas, if you want to highlight one specific example, if you just want to talk generally about how this plays out, what does excellence look like as a commercial real estate broker?
Yeah, so we want to work with our clients over and over and over again, and we want to provide value to our clients. And so nobody wants to work with someone who's average at what they do. And people can quickly realize when they're working with somebody that this person isn't excellent. And if you want to succeed at this business, and we're going to go through each of these core values, excellence when it comes to your work as a commercial real estate agent might be the most important, because it's what they're going to observe so quickly about how you work and how you respond and how you interact with them, and are you an expert in what you do, and are you pursuing, and when you don't know, do you figure it out and you solve problems for it, and all those areas you have to do with excellence. And so I don't know that there's an area in commercial real estate where this doesn't come out and can't quickly be observed. And y'all were just talking with Dan Williams recently about commercial and residential, and it applies across all spectrums in the real estate industry. Is a lot of people have gotten into the business because they think they don't have to work very much, they don't have to do very much.
They see big commission dollars.
That's right.
Whatever
That's right.
it
And
is.
it's very much the opposite. And working with excellence, whether it's the 1,000 square foot deal lease or the 30,000 square foot lease, the top agent in NAI Global never turns down a deal. He told us, he said, he does about $3 million of commission income on an average year. And so you would assume he would focus on just larger transactions, and that's what we asked him. And he said, absolutely not. I work on every single deal I can, because you have no idea what 1,200 square foot tenant is going to need 100,000 square foot warehouse as they grow. Mm-hmm. And so he worked in every area of his business with excellence and saw the most extreme examples of success.
Let me give you an example of that personally that just came out of our company. We use a local civil engineering firm, and the other day we were at their company, and Dak said, I don't remember how it came up, but it came up in course of conversation that we were their 32nd biggest client last year. And it wasn't, we were tiny compared to their really, really big clients. And Dax and Garrett, their mind were blown. They're like, we would have thought we were in their top 5 based on the quality of service that they gave us. They're like, they serve us with excellence. And it was really like, wow, we were their 32nd. So that person you give the 1,200 square feet that you give excellent service to, whenever they want to lease 250,000 feet, they know who served them well. And so doing your very best is what you said. You said becoming very proficient. We got a whole nother episode about continuous education and growing with this huge body of knowledge. And so, Kyle, you set the standard of not just doing your best, but really becoming an expert in the field, which was slightly different than what Grant said. But you think there's some aspect of knowing your stuff embodied in excellence.
We want everybody in our company to be excellent, including brokers, including assistants, including marketing. In every area of our business, we want them to be excellent. And so I need to pursue excellence in every task I put my hand toward. But if I go try to do administrative work, me pursuing excellence probably isn't going to be the most excellent work, because it's something I'm just competent in.
Right.
And so ultimately, if you're going to be successful as an agent or as a broker, you have to be excellent in the sense of comparing yourself to others. You have to know more, you have to do better, and people have to be able to see that and want to work with you.
Think about it like an attorney. All these attorneys are charging $350 or $400 an hour, and I can hire an average one for that or an excellent one at that. I'm going to hire the excellent every time. What if the average one's doing his best? So there is an aspect of doing his best. There is an aspect of really knowing your business. And if you don't know your business, saying, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get you the right answer very soon because I care about that. So I think that's probably good on excellence. Any closing words on excellence from you two?
No.
All right.
For me. Yeah.
So P, thief. The next one, let's go with teamwork. So Grant, define teamwork for Shannon. How do we see teamwork?
We see it as collaboration and really selflessly helping those who you're working with. So people on your team, whether that be people within the office or whether it be trade partners or vendors, as Brady mentioned a minute ago, really just taking a collaborative approach and effort in everything that you do.
Okay, so Grant, when you think through Shannon's daily workflow and through her business or whatever, and you think about the teamwork that is going to be required on her transactions, speak to the team members. We're going to expect excellence out of all of her team, but who's going to be the team that's helping her bring all of her deals to fruition?
There's the marketing team, who you're going to work with in the office. There's also there's a seller or there's a buyer. There's your client that you're working with, and then there are others like title companies and just other agents or other people in the office who are going to be involved in the transaction. And so it really does take a collaborative effort, everyone working together.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so externally, he mentioned your clients, your vendors, those friends of the industry that we talked about in the other episode. But within the office, he mentioned, the marketing department. They're putting together your flyers. They're getting your stuff on the internet. And we expect them to serve you with excellence and be a great part of your team. There's the finance guys, the people that are cutting your checks whenever the closing statements come in. Those are going to go to the finance people. And we don't want them sitting on those checks. We want those checks going to you ASAP. There's the staff at the front desk. Whenever a client walks in, we expect them to rise and greet your clients and with a friendly face and offer them water and be very hospitable. That's all your team. But likewise, when a new agent comes on and they don't know come here from Sikkim about real estate, just like Chase and Joe are for you, we expect you to be a team player and help them along, just like Kyle, who has a big business that he's running. He's willing to set aside time to help train because he's a team player. And so that for me is a lot of the teaming aspect on our team. Kyle, you want to speak any more to teaming? So I spoke about it internally.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak about it with clients or vendors or anybody else?
That's right. And one you may not expect is other brokers, whether you're co-oping with another broker or you're trying to solve a problem to salvage a deal. Oftentimes, whether I'm on the tenant side or a landlord side, if it helps get the deal done or across the finish line, I'm going to solve the other problem side as well.
Yeah, sure.
If it obviously not negotiating against my client, but say I need a parking variance for my tenant, that's really a landlord item to solve, but I'm going to jump in and work together and team with them in any way to bring value and get the deal across the finish line. And you see a lot of deals die, I think, in the brokerage world because there isn't a collaborative teamwork approach. And we talked about this in negotiation, but I don't even really mean negotiating the deal points. I just mean they view the entire relationship as adversarial instead of working together. And so externally, it's really working together with the brokers in the office. And we've also talked about this already. The teamwork goes to the next level where we're not keeping the same private database. Internally we have a shared database because we want not to give our clients away, but if we can share information that helps their deal, obviously without violating confidentiality, we want to do that. And so,
yeah, good. And the brokers that are out there in the market that aren't at our company, when you go the extra mile, when you display that teamwork that is our core value, and you make their life easier in the transaction because you're willing to go the extra mile. When they're showing land up and down Milwaukee and you've got a listing and two other brokers, they're gonna push your land because they like working with you because you're a team player. You're not adversarial, so on and so forth. You make their life easier. So it is good for your reputation because a good name is more to be valued than silver or gold, but it's also good for your business. Certainly good for our relationships.
I don't know how many times I've just talked to a broker and said, who you should call? You don't have to do that. And I'm not asking for a referral. It's not somebody I have a relationship with, but I'm helping give them an idea. And as we work together, although we're competitive, it'll come back around. Those relationships will be super valuable.
All right. So let's take on one more. We'll break this up today into two groups of three. And so the next one is integrity. You said maybe excellence is the most important.
Yeah, this would be the other.
This would be the other one that all of these were our first two to add to our list of core values, and everybody felt unanimously strong about them from the beginning, and that's integrity. And so Grant, tell us about what does integrity mean to you?
To me, it's pretty simple. It's just always doing what's right.
Yeah. And the four of us share a common definition of what's right. We're all Christians. We all believe the Bible, defines right and wrong and so on and so forth. But even out there in the world at large, I think there's a pretty well-received standard of right and wrong. So let's leave, even if we leave religion out of it, which is hard for us in our lives, but if we leave that out of it, people love to deal with people who do the right thing. And people who don't even believe in God or don't even have the same motivations as us, they want to deal with somebody who they can trust and who does the right thing in hard situations. And I know people that are completely non-religious, but I can trust that they're going to do the right thing in a hard situation. And I have so much respect for those people. Kyle, how do you see that playing out in the brokerage of all businesses, the brokerage business being one that's very difficult to show integrity all the time?
And to go the next mile. And Grant and I were actually having a conversation earlier today about a real life scenario where it wasn't black and white. And I don't even know that there was that their integrity was violated, but they didn't go the extra mile. And it has hurt that person's just reputation because they did something that he didn't view as wrong, I don't think. I think he operated under his own integrity, but he didn't go the extra mile and he didn't go above board. And so now people are on guard. They don't trust him. They don't want to deal with him. And so in the brokerage business specifically, I think it's not just doing what's right, but it's going the extra mile.
Sure.
A little cliche, but to go the extra mile and make sure that they view that you did everything above board in the right way. And that comes up in the brokerage business a lot with relationships. You know, there's times where I could probably call somebody's client. They don't have it listed, but maybe I was introduced by them, or maybe I want to continue to work with this broker. And even if I'm going to call their client, maybe calling them first, not sacrificing that, but just being, hey, you don't have this listed. And that way you preserve the relationship with the broker and go get the business. I mean, that's one I could go through example after example of how you go above board. But having that mindset when you're making the decision is, how is this going to be perceived on the other side of this transaction, and making sure you preserve your reputation in that.
In so many times with that, you know, people are short-sighted, in my opinion, on there's so many dollars involved in a lot of these transactions sometimes that people, they want to make sure that they can get as many of them as they can. And a lot of times they're just short-sighted. They're not looking at the big picture, not looking down the road. And so, as Brady always says, you know, the pie is infinitely large. You know, there's so much pie out there to get, but sometimes people just have to go get their piece, and they're so focused on whatever that may be that they're not thinking about the big picture, their reputation, all these things. All they're thinking about is what is at stake right now in this transaction.
Mm-hmm. And my wife always says to people she's mentoring or whatever, trust takes a long time to build, but it can be lost in an instant of doing the wrong thing. And if something happens and you accidentally do the wrong thing, the humility to go back and apologize, even ask forgiveness, it freaks people out in the industry whenever you apologize for something. But I've had to eat crow a bunch of times and win back that trust. The guy who trained me in the real estate business is a man of great integrity, and I've seen him walk away from six-figure commission checks, leave all the money on the table, not care, walk away from it, just to make sure his reputation and his name, a good name, was left intact. And I remember my respect for him just going through the roof every time I watched him say, I don't serve the dollar, I serve the client, and I'm going to do what's right by the client. The dollars will work themselves out. Let's serve our people well and focus on integrity. And right now, this sounds like a given to you. This sounds like, of course, we would do the right thing. Like, who wouldn't want to do the right thing? You just wait. When you get into the middle of a transaction, sometimes there's some industries where there's white and there's black. The commercial real estate industry, there is white, there's black, and there's a whole lot of gray in the middle. And sometimes you're forced to operate within that realm of gray, and your conscience be your guide, and other agents ask counsel, because there's a lot of gray, and it's inescapable in our industry. It's not a black and white industry. Kyle, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree for sure. And what you said about losing that trust, yeah, I mean, I've seen it over and over. People have done the right thing for years and years, and that can all be forgotten in an instant. And that's also true of excellence. You could have done a great job, but they'll remember the one mistake you made. They'll remember the one, even if it wasn't a blatant lie, but man, they really went around me on that transaction. I'll never trust them again. You'll hear that a lot. I wouldn't trust that guy as far as I would throw him. It only takes one time for that to be said about you, and you just don't want that. You want the reputation to be, you can trust Kyle, you can trust Shannon, you can trust Brady, you can trust Grant. And so, yeah, we want to operate in that.
Those are excellence. If somebody doesn't know how to do something out there in the community, the brokerage community especially, they're going to know, Shannon's pretty new, but the NAI guys are working real hard to train her up right to where she knows what to do next time. So you're gonna make mistakes. We all make mistakes. With integrity, we want, with all that we are, the most important thing to us is that our company is one that integrity is held to the highest standard. And so I would say of everything on excellence, important, integrity, critically important. And so I'm going to call it quits on the core value. We're going to call this number 1. Join us for core values number 2.